This is my painting I'm finishing tonight. This is the last little bit. It's the silhouette of actually myself, and you'll see the whole painting afterwards, but I'm painting this whole piece, this whole painting with 3 pigments, including this black I'm painting on right now. It's a combination of phthalo blue and quinacridone rose. This actually needs a little more yellow. And Hansa yellow medium. It's a little purpley. You take the purple away by adding yellow, and it needs more. And this isn't very fancy painting. It's not very tricky, except that what I really want to do is get this heavy, dark paint in one smooth layer so that it's completely saturated. There's no paper showing through, and there's no brush strokes. So the trick to do that, I've found, is enough paint and enough water. If you don't have enough paint, it doesn't cover, and if you don't have enough water, it gets all streaky and brush strokey. The way I find myself describing this is I'm trying to float like a very, very shallow flat lake of pigment and water on the paper so that it looks really smooth. And I gotta pay attention to what I'm doing here so that I'm following my drawing. I'll keep getting more paint and more water, scooping it up. I'm just using this kind of clunky old brush because I've started using it and I kind of like it. It doesn't hold tons of paint, but it has this nice sort of not very pointed edge, which is helping me with all these lines I've had to paint. It just seemed like the right thing to do. This has really been quite the painting. It's gotten lots of attention because it's different. Certainly different than anything I've ever painted. And this is wild. I'm painting myself. My first self-portrait right here. Although you'd never know it. I know it. I know that it was me. It was from a trip in 1998. Went to Paris and Barcelona and south of France with my friend Karen Nugent. And she took this photograph. It's a clock on the inside of the Musée d'Orsay in Paris. And I'm holding a railing. That's what I was just painting there, was the railing. It was a big Photoshop project. I did quite a bit of work because the building is, it blocks a lot of the clock, and I really wanted to have it be the whole roundness of the clock. Look at that, I'm painting my butt. And these little shapes. I'm not sure what all those little peekaboos are. I think this must have been a vertical support to the railing here, and it's really straight down. So what I decided to do was to take a photograph that I painted in 2005, years ago, 10 years ago, wow, that I call Paris Roses. And it was actually a photograph that was taken on the very same trip, very same vacation. I don't remember which one of us took it, but it was in the Jardin des Plantes, which is the neighborhood that I lived half a block away from that park. And it was a beautiful rose alley. We were there in late May, early June. And these are my fingers. Sure, what a trip, hanging down from the my pinky I just painted. Here's where I wish I had a brush with a sharper point. I might need to go fix that later. And then this is the number 6 from the clock. So I decided to take Paris roses and put it behind the clock because in the actual photograph it was all just white. There was so much light coming in the windows that are the clock that the camera just took this as almost a black and white. And I didn't want to just put sort of the city outside. I wanted color and something feminine, because this is a really feminine image of me. I'll make sure I'm not getting my hand in that paint there. I've done that a couple of times painting this, and it's been a big egads. So I've got this really thick paint over here, but it is fluid. It's liquid. It's not sticky anymore. Definitely painting it so that I'm stretching out fluid, and I'm not pushing out sticky stuff. Time for more water. Got a little dry over here, so I'm just going to add a little water and go right over it. I remember this, I was wearing this long skirt. It was a jean skirt. I might need to mix up a little more. It's going to be close. And so that's what this is. I was wearing a long skirt that day. And I've had this photograph for a really long time, obviously. It was a long time ago. 1998 was when these 2 photographs were taken. But the idea to do something with it in the way of a painting didn't come until about a year or 2 ago. And I wasn't sure what, and I had it out on my desk in my studio and looked at it every now and then, and just one day how the miracle of ideas works. I got that brainstorm to put the roses behind. Oh, and a note here for you painters. Why I'm not putting water down first is that I find it really hard, if not impossible, to get it to cover in one coat. I'm just going to stretch this along this line here to kind of fuse these together. Although there are lots of breaks, I can't get it to cover in one coat if there's water down first. And also with a passage, a section as large as this, it's hard to keep it all equally damp. It starts drying by the time I get to the last part of it, like down here. If I'd wet this first, this would be nearly dry, and it wouldn't be flowing the same. And I find it more challenging to paint on damp paper like this than dry paper, because it starts doing really weird things. What a trip. I'm almost to the end of this painting. You're watching me finish it off right in this moment. Here it is. I'm going to do some fine tuning on it, but this is largely it. Right here, my feet. I had these little sling back pumps, mules like things on, and gosh, my feet hurt. I wanted to look pretty. I didn't want to walk around in jeans and tennis shoes. I was in Paris. There we go. It's done. So here's the part I just painted. Just about dry. There it is. Pretty smooth. Worked out pretty well. So now I have to get back so you can see the whole painting. I've pinned it to the wall here. back, 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 back.